Okay, so hi everyone. Welcome back to the Tibetan Buddhist Society, a peaceful land of joy, magnificent traditional temple here on the outskirts of Melbourne. The temple's at the moment a bit empty, just Venerable Mckibben and myself due to the lockdown around Melbourne, the restrictions. So hopefully everyone's going okay with the difficulties living with lockdown and restricted movement and sometimes being stuck with the same people and dealing with one's own mind in those situations. So hopefully everyone's going okay. So we're starting off with a couple of light offerings today. There's a light offering. Sorry? Mckibben's just turning on the offering lights. There's a big row of offering lights here for when we make light offerings to all holy beings. Thanks, Mckibben. So Pam and Paul are making a light offering with regards, I think it's with regards particularly to the coronavirus pandemic. And it's for all the residents in our very vulnerable aged care sector who already have, many already have enough difficulties with old age and being in nursing homes and so on. And to those workers who in their compassion kindly care for them, and for all the grieving families who have lost their loved ones, and for those currently concerned for their loved ones, and for all other people who are affected and their families, and for those who care for them with such kindness and courage. So may they all be protected by intelligent, practical measures, and also be supported by their own inner resources. And may they step by step be guided by all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and holy beings. So step by step, they overcome all the suffering associated with psychic existence. And there's also a light offering being made for Mckibben and Tara's dog Geshe, who passed away last Wednesday. He had a wonderful life with a family that loved him and retrieved countless sticks. So the light offerings for Geshe to have a good rebirth in the Woofer Pure Land, or even better, a human rebirth next life, and for Geshe to meet holy gurus and to step by step traverse the path to enlightenment. So maybe the Woofer Pure Land can't be as good as here, where someone follows behind you and picks up your poo. So we'll start off with the prayers on page 19. Starting off, praise to Shakyamuni Buddha in Tibetan and English. Trampa chundende deje jepa tachampa yantapa sope sanje ripa ta japsu tempa dewa shepa jeten tempa jiba dewe demo dewa mana mepa nada mina
Ganti Tompa Sangye Chandade Kajawa Chakya Tupala Jatsamo Chada Jatsu Chibo.
Teacher, Bhagawan, Tathagata, Aha, all-knowing, having poise, Sugata, apprehender of the world, navigator of beings to be subdued, incomparable, teacher of gods and humans, to the Buddha, the Bhagawan, the glorious conqueror Shakyamuni, we prostrate, make offerings and go for refuge.
Sangyo Dazo Ti Janama Jancha Badudani Jatsu Chi Dati Jitsu Ti Pizanati Dhamma Pandisanji Tapaja.
To the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I go for refuge until becoming enlightened. Through the merit of my generosity and so on, may I achieve Buddhahood to benefit all beings. To the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I go for refuge until becoming enlightened. Through the merit of my generosity and so on, may I achieve Buddhahood to benefit all beings. Is crowned, anointed with perfume and strewn with flowers, Mount Meru, the four continents, adorned with sun and moon, imagined as a Buddha land and offered thus. May all beings enjoy such pure lands. I prostrate my three doors with a mind of respect and offer all actually arranged and mentally emanated offerings. I reveal all the downfalls and negativities that I have ever collected and rejoice in the virtues of individuals and superiors. Please remain perfectly abiding until samsara is no longer seen. I request you to turn the vast and profound wheels of Dharma. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. Then this one we might do in Tibetan, just very occasionally. Geshe always used to do this prayer in Tibetan, and he said we should continue with Tibetan prayers, Tibetan voices around the suburbs.
Nidratani Jini Sasuna Yansita Pishata Tajata Shinta Chimpu Nili Jupi Sarvatara Jachichapilam Mana Yansu Sapini Jupi Tampi Satin Mami Zidatu Tuju Tuji Najini Sopi Shishin Tishin Sivi Tanzipi Javi Tachu Malu Zinpayi Dasan Tapi Pala Shazama Rajan Sanatana Tabimik Tisan Tapata Pishanoshak Sivi Chapi Tati Sapayi Sisi Chinyam Nana Dajaksa.
Body born from 1,000,000 magnificent excellent virtues, speech fulfilling the hopes of infinite beings, a mind that sees all objects of knowledge precisely, I bow my head to the chief among the Shakyas, supreme sons of the incomparable teacher, carrying the load of all the conqueror's deeds, by their emanations appearing in countless realms. I prostrate to Maitreya and Manjushri. The mother of conquerors is difficult to fathom. The precise thought is in commentaries written by Jambuvipa's ornaments, Nagarjuna and Asanga. I prostrate at the feet of those most renowned in the three realms. From these two great chariots come the excellent lineages of the paths of profound view and vast deeds. Their essential points gathered thoroughly and without fault. Prostration to the lamp holding this treasury instruction. Giving explanation through compassion, by seeing precisely and completely the essential points of all paths of Sutra and Tantra, holder of the conqueror's entire holy Dharma, prostrations to the glorious Lasangdrapa. I, seeing all the infinite teachings, supreme way of crossing for those entering the journey to liberation, moved by compassion to deeds skilled in method, prostrations to the spiritual masters who make everything clear. Then the great treasury of excellence, the prayer of the path to enlightenment. The kind master is the basis of all qualities, and proper reliance is the root of the path. By seeing this excellence and through much striving, bestow blessings to be devoted with great respect. This gentle support of freedom, obtained this one time, is most difficult to achieve. Knowing its great value gives rise to a mind seizing its essence constantly day and night. Bestow blessings to generate this continuum unceasingly. It is like a bubble in water. It is constantly moving body and life. Thus remember the swift collapse of death. Beyond death, like body and shadow, white and black karmic results follow after. By gaining firm certainty in this, the mass of faults, subtle and very subtle, are abandoned, and the accomplishment of all virtuous collections completed, bestow blessings to ever retain conscientiousness. The qualities of samsara are unfit to be trusted, the door to all suffering. Do not be content with these enjoyments. By knowing its defects, bestow blessings to develop a great aspiration for the bliss of liberation. By that pure thought, great conscientiousness is drawn forth, and mindfulness and awareness of the individual liberation, the root of the teachings, bestow blessings to make this the essential practice. Just as I myself have fallen into samsara's ocean, all living beings as mother are also like that. By seeing the responsibility for the liberation of beings, bestow blessings to be drained in supreme bodhicitta. However, by merely generating the mind, if not acquainted with the three aspects of ethics, enlightenment will not be attained. By seeing this excellence, bestow blessings to train with strong effort in the vows of the conqueror's sons. Pacify distraction toward perverse objects by way of proper analysis of the perfect meaning. Bestow blessings to swift to the Vajrayana, supreme evolution of all vehicles. Bestow blessings to engage the easy path itself, that sacred way of crossing for fortunate beings. The base of practice for the two aspects of attainment is when guarding the pure vows of commitment is found to be genuine and certain. Bestow blessings to protect them, even at risk of life. Then, by understanding properly the important points, which are the essence of the two stages of the Tantra classes, bestow blessings to practice according to these holy teachings, with continuous effort in the supreme four-session yoga. Like that, may the spiritual friend revealing the gentle path and the friends of proper practice stand firm. Bestow blessings to quickly pacify the masses of outer and inner hindrances. In all rebirths, may I never be parted from perfect gurus in the enjoyment of the glorious Dharma. By utterly completing all qualities, paths, and grounds, may I quickly achieve the state of Vajradhara. So we'll start off with some meditation. We'll meditate on the three self-confidences that we looked at last week that support steadfastness, one of the four powers for joyous effort. So, Geshe emphasized these a great deal. So we need to acquaint ourselves and develop them. So we'll just relaxing the body, settling with your back in an upright position, whether you're in a chair or on a cushion, and settling down and letting go of all the preoccupation, the mountain of news about this pandemic and all the other worries we've got at the moment, whether it's financial worries or worries about relationships or isolation or someone stuck in a nursing home and so on. So for the time being, we're going to let go of all our preoccupations, all our worries, all our physical tension, and letting that go with the out-breath. And then we develop a pure motivation for our session today. So it's not just another hour of our life that's gone and not have much ongoing benefit. We endeavor to generate the bodhicitta motivation, the spirit of enlightenment, the mind of enlightenment, the supreme motivation. So this session becomes an actual cause in your continuum for your own enlightenment, continuously, step by step, all the way to your enlightenment. And so we can do that by reflecting on all the hardship and all the suffering that is going on in the world. Seems to be so many problems. with superpower conflict and global warming and overpopulation, a massive amount of refugees experiencing their suffering, and then everyone being impacted around the world by this pandemic. And they're just a few of the human experiences of suffering that the Buddha explained 2,500 years ago. The truth of suffering, or true suffering. Because of our negative karma, because of delusion, and we experience suffering. It seemed that just like myself, my parents, children, brothers, sisters, friends, work colleagues, people we don't like, strangers, animals, all living beings absolutely need to be free of suffering, and absolutely need peace, well-being, and happiness. And so for that reason today, we engage in this study of the six perfections. So we may quickly purify our minds and realize our Tathagata essence, realize the natural purity within, and attain the state of complete, perfect enlightenment for the benefit of all living beings without exception. And stabilize for a few minutes on bodhicitta. In practicing the three self-confidences, Shantideva said, actions, delusions, and capability. These are the three self-confidences. So the first one, self-confidence of action. I alone shall do it, is a self-confidence of action. So this is similar to pride. It's not pride, but similar to pride. It's recognizing we have the path to enlightenment laid out for us by Geshe Acharya Thubten Loden in extraordinary detail. And we have our leisure and fortune, our excellent human rebirth. so we can engage the path to enlightenment from our own side, with courage, and without feeling we need to be dragged along it, or nurtured along, or inspired along, but from our own side, determination. This is my own mind. No one else can transform my mind. This is my own arena, and I alone shall do it, because this is me. And stabilize on that courageous attitude. I alone shall do it, all the way to enlightenment. So the next self-confidence is self-confidence of delusions. It's easy to feel discouraged because our delusions occur again and again with a habit energy that can make us feel we're not making much progress. So we need the self-confidence of delusions. And we can generate this by recognizing delusions have two major flaws or two major weaknesses. The first one is that they're based in ignorance. The deluded perspective is not realistic. So whether it's great desire with the exaggeration of how happy that object or that person can make you, or great anger or hatred with the exaggeration of how bad that person is. And that in both cases, that they are the cause of your happiness or suffering, not recognizing one's own mind as the cause. And the ignorance grasping at the inherent existence, that inherently beautiful person, inherently nasty person. So delusions can be overcome by being more realistic and seeing the object as a dependent arising. is empty of being inherently nasty or beautiful or whatever. So for that reason we can have confidence of overcoming delusions. They're based on falsity. And the second reason we can have confidence is because delusions only ever harm us. They're not beneficial. So when we understand that, we're motivated to abandon our delusions. And the third reason we can have confidence over our delusions is that we have all the methods and all the antidotes to every delusion. The Lord Buddha presented in his 84,000 dharmas the means to overcome all delusion, if we wish. So stabilize on your own self-confidence of overcoming your delusions. Again, the courageous mind. And the last is the self-confidence of capability. And Shanti Deva explains that others aren't capable of freeing themselves from suffering because they don't have the methods. If we're not fortunate enough to be exposed to pure Dharma, to encounter pure Dharma, then we don't have the path to enlightenment. But we are capable because we've received this extraordinary lineage from Lord Buddha to Geshe Acharya Thubten Loden, or Lord Buddha, for example, to His Holiness the Dalai Lama, a completely pure lineage, and one that is a complete path, comprehensive path to enlightenment, the path to freedom and to bliss, and to becoming capable of benefiting all living beings. To stabilize on the self-confidence of capability, we can, in actuality, benefit others. and we can finish the meditation. So we'll wrap up with joyous effort in this session and start on the perfection of concentration. So we're on the fourth perfection, the fourth bodhisattva bhumi, bodhisattva ground, fourth transcendent action. And we're looking at joyous effort. And on page 753, Geshe presents the divisions of joyous effort. So, and he says there are three divisions of joyous effort. Armor-like joyous effort, the joyous effort of gathering virtuous dharmas, and the joyous effort of benefiting living beings. So armor-like is armor as in the armor that medieval knights would put on and then struggle to lift a sword because it was all so heavy, or they're having a sword fight, or armor like in more modern day, like tanks have armor, and they've got sort of very sophisticated layers of steel and I'm not sure fabrics and all sorts of things to prevent penetration of that armor, to protect the tank crew inside. So armor-like joyous effort is said to be armor-like because it protects us, in particular, from laziness. So, we all need protection from those three types of laziness, of procrastination, of thoughts of incapacity and desire for meaningless activity. So this type of joyous effort. And Geshe describes it here as it is the kind of dauntless energy where you feel, I will continuously work for others until all living beings are freed from suffering, even if I must persevere for 1,000 years to gain merely a tiny benefit for just one being. So, dauntless energy to pursue enlightenment, to work for others, and it requires that great strength of purpose. So the great strength of purpose of the Bodhisattva to realistically have that attitude, then we need that purpose and that clarity about enlightenment, about the possibility of freeing from suffering and so on. And that strength to say as long as it takes, because come what may, and anticipating so many different obstacles and so many different hardships we're going to experience on the path to enlightenment. But so expecting that and not being shocked by it or discouraged. So a very courageous attitude. So I think there's lots of worldly examples where that strength of purpose, a real strength of purpose, makes sort of gives conviction and makes things actually easier to act in difficult circumstance. So, for example, on the battlefield, soldiers, if you're sent to war, say you're a conscript, and all the time you're thinking you're not really into this war at all, and you're thinking I just don't want to get hurt and so on, then it's would be very, very stressful time. But for a soldier who is absolutely prepared to lay down their life, they believe in, say, they're protecting their country or whatever, then I think in the mind of that soldier, somehow it's easier to be there once you've reached that point than someone who doesn't have that purpose. And a good example was in the movie Rambo, where I think Rambo got shot with some shrapnel and it made a hole all the way through his body, and you could see right through. And rather than going home, giving up and going home, he simply pulled the top off a bullet, sprinkled it inside and lit it, and that cauterized all the blood vessels in the hole. and then he just got on with what he was doing. So yes, that's sort of. But we also see in more everyday examples like strength of purpose that parents often have towards their children, like absolute commitment, and you see that in the animal kingdom as well. For example, if a fox is threatening a duck's nest, sometimes one of the parent ducks will feign an injury and run off on the ground and put their own life at risk just to lead the fox away from the nest. So sort of, again, a great strength of purpose to protect that nest. Yeah. So, yeah, and then we might have that armor-like joyous effort. I remember in that old movie, Monkey Magic, the monkey would say, something like, monkey is irrepressible, and nothing could put him down. There was this continuous energy and enthusiasm. So in the path to enlightenment, Geshe says we should begin each day by imagining we're putting on this armor of joyous effort. So rather than sort of crawling out of bed, grumbling about having to get up and how everything's aching and so on, we try and put on this protective armor of joyous effort that even maybe just for a short time, for this morning or for this day, then I'm going to engage the Dharma. I'm going to joyfully engage the Dharma, practice mindfulness, practice awareness, practice helping others and so on. So, yeah, I think lots of us could improve in that department just at the beginning of each day. And the path to enlightenment also, Geshe says, we should determine to persevere, even if there's no obvious results. So that's when with Dharma practice, it's a long-term project. Dealing with our own minds and our own habits is a long-term project. And helping others is a long-term project as well. So even if we're not getting obvious results, seeing it as a meaningful, purposeful, beneficial activity. And in actual fact, there are countless invisible results in terms of accumulation of merit and planting positive karmic seeds within our mind stream and hopefully in the mind stream of others. So Shantideva, in one of his verses, he and His Holiness uses this quite a bit as well, where he says he's prepared to remain within psychic existence as long as there's any being still suffering, then determination to remain, to benefit living beings. So that's sort of, joyous effort. So Lord Tsongkhapa, in his great exposition of the stages of the path, he quotes Maitreya's praise in 150 verses. He says, "The sublime state, knowing this, you intensified your joyous perseverance without concern for yourself." So that's the Bodhisattva path, is without that overwhelming preoccupation with ourselves or that self-cherishing. So the next division listed in the path to enlightenment is the joyous effort of gathering virtuous dharmas. And Geshe only very briefly touches on it here. So this is the effort to practice virtue. So we're practicing virtue when we're acquainting our minds with Dharma or benefiting others. So whenever you're reading a Dharma text or listening to Dharma teachings or thinking about them, or meditating on them, then that's an accumulation of virtue. Or if we're practicing the 10 virtues, so the opposite of the 10 non-virtues. So we're practicing not killing, abandoning killing, abandoning stealing, abandoning sexual misconduct, abandoning lying, harsh speech, and so on. Then that's the effort of gathering virtuous dharma. Whenever we're practicing the 11 virtues, so these are the same as in the ethics of gathering virtuous dharma. So the second perfection and the fourth perfection, they're divisions. The second perfection, the division is the ethics of commitment, the ethics of virtuous actions, and ethics of working for living beings. And the fourth one is similar, is the armor-like joyous effort, then the ethics, effort, joyous effort of gathering virtuous dharmas and joyous effort of benefiting living beings. So I'll just read the 11 virtues that are listed in the perfection of ethics. Where are they? Yeah. So it's faith. There's faith. These virtuous attitudes of faith and shame. Shame as in conscientiousness. And then embarrassment, embarrassed how we're affecting others badly or influencing them badly. Then non-attachment, non-hatred, and non-ignorance. Then joyous effort, pliancy, conscientiousness, equanimity, and non-harmfulness. So the ethics is more to do with the aspiration of that practice. And the joyous effort of gathering virtuous dharmas is focusing on the energy or the effort we're making in that practice. And of course, the six perfections, the main practice of Bodhisattvas is the six perfections. So practice of any practice you do, generosity and ethics and patience and joyous effort, perseverance, concentration and wisdom. Then if we try to do that with bodhicitta, again, that's part of the joyous effort of gathering virtuous dharmas. So that again is one advantage of having a guru, having a holy guru, a fully qualified holy being, because then they tend to drag you kicking and screaming along the path, and they sort of help you make more effort than you otherwise would do. I think probably since Geshe passed in 2011, and certainly I myself, but I suspect other people too, probably slacked off a bit. And when you're in the presence of your guru, you're always on your best behavior. You try to, do your best. So a guru certainly helps. They tend to stretch you a bit. So I quote Lama Tsongkhapa again from the Great Exposition of the Stages of the Path on this section of joyous effort. And he's talking about a really hardcore practice here, but we can aspire to this. He said, while you are concentrating, if in general you should behave wrongly, or in particular you should experience the causes of laziness, such as sleeping, etc., then you must not assent to them, but must confront and avert them. Furthermore, do not merely discontinue faults, but actively feel displeasure at their having occurred. Contemplate as follows. Because I proceeded in this way in the past as well, I have been wandering in psychic existence up to now. In particular, it is especially blameworthy that I have taken the Bodhisattva vows and yet continue with things that are incompatible with the vows' precepts. From now on, I shall make sure this fault never occurs. Then Lord Tsongkhapa continues. He says, strive at any of the deep causes that give rise to continuous, powerful mindfulness. That is the root of the practice. Rely on such activities as keeping in the company of excellent teachers and excellent companions, and broad learning, which are the causes of this powerful mindfulness. So the last of the joyous effort here is the joyous effort of benefiting living beings. So this Geshe describes that's the effort of helping others and turning all actions of our body, speech, and mind towards the path. Which helping others is directly benefiting other beings, and doing anything you can to lessen your own delusions or cultivate enlightened qualities is indirectly and maybe longer term benefiting living beings. So again, it's different from the ethics of benefiting living beings, because this focuses more on the effort or the energy aspect. So the same 11 divisions of benefiting living beings. So I'll leave you to read through those, but it's benefiting people, for example, who are poverty-stricken, or people, I think one's ignorant of the methods, so ignorant of Dharma, or just don't sort of have the means to deal with, for example, their own anger or unhappiness or depression. So helping with Dharma methods and so on. There's basically helping anyone in any way that you can, because all living beings are suffering within samsara. So from that view, we can't say, I'm too busy practicing Dharma to lend an ear if someone needs help. We've got to try and do our best. So then on page 755, again, all of the 6 perfections have these ancillaries, these means to maximize our practice in terms of making it the most powerful, making it the most merit accumulating and wisdom accumulating practices. So I didn't put that very well, but so the ancillaries is to start off with is the 3 supreme qualities, and they're the supreme reliance, supreme method, and supreme dedication. So with the supreme reliance again is focusing on bodhicitta. For this to be part of the bodhisattva path, there has to be bodhicitta. There has to be pure motivation leading to pure action. So we can think, by this practice of joyous effort, I'm joyfully giving the birds some rice this morning, or I'm joyfully giving my husband, my grumpy husband, or my grumpy wife, I'm making them a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and letting them offload, and I'm practicing patience. So by this practice of joyous effort, and may all living beings quickly be free from the suffering of samsara and attain enlightenment, something along those lines. So may this action be a cause of enlightenment. And because it's a cause of accumulating merit, and merit is the principal cause of the purified physical forms. So it's the cause of the resultant illusory body. It's the cause of the Buddha's, of the Nirmanakaya, the enjoyment body and the emanation bodies, the Sambhogakaya and the Nirmanakaya. Yeah. And the Supreme Method focuses on emptiness. So while we're practicing joyous effort, we try to focus on the 3 cycles of emptiness. So the emptiness of oneself, the practitioner of joyous effort, and the emptiness of the object of the practice, and the emptiness of the action. So we might joyously be weeding Geshe's garden, but if we're doing that with this supreme method, then that will reduce our pride that I've weeded that patch, or I've done this, or I've done that. So we need to focus on emptiness of the I, so it stays as a pure action rather than just a cause of pride, just yet another. So, and then the emptiness of the object. So the object might be the weeds you're pulling, or the object of you're visualizing the Buddha, maybe a mental object. So realizing it's just dependent arising, merely imputed, merely designated, nothing there from its own side, nothing behind that appearance of substance. And then the emptiness of the action, that practice of meditation, or that practice of pulling weeds, or the practice of feeding the birds. So Geshe explains that meditating on emptiness, it eliminates all delusions associated with the practice of joyous effort. It then becomes a pure action and results in the mental bodies of the Buddha. It causes accumulation of wisdom, which is the cause of the truth body, the Dharmakaya. So the omniscient mind of the Buddha, and the nature body, the Svabhavakaya, the emptiness nature of the Buddha's mind. And the third of the supreme reliances is supreme dedication. So again, dedication to oneself and all living beings attaining enlightenment through this action. And that protects it, it seals it, it stops us destroying it with anger. Like anger towards holy beings is very destructive within our continuum. And anger generally is very destructive on our merit. So we try to do this dedication towards enlightenment and protect that virtue. Then page 757, Geshe goes into the 6 supreme qualities. So the first is the supreme reliance, which we've already looked at, bodhicitta. Then the supreme object. So we try and have the highest standard of joyous effort and practice the best Dharma activity for us at that time. So whether it's whatever, it's hard to gauge what's the best Dharma practice for oneself. So we have to use our own wisdom and ideally rely on a guru and a text such as the Path to Enlightenment to figure out, should we be meditating on the breath? Should we be meditating on bodhicitta or emptiness? Should we be going to help in an aged care home? Should we be feeding birds? Should we be meditating on impermanence? What should we be doing? Should we be doing the Vajrayana? So we have to rely on our own wisdom to try and figure that out if we haven't had clear guidance from a holy being. Supreme purpose is number 3, temporary and ultimate happiness of all living beings as the purpose of the action. Then fourth is the supreme method, which is the three emptinesses. Fifth, the supreme dedication. And we've looked at the dedication towards enlightenment. And the sixth is supreme purity. So practicing joyous effort, wishing to be free of the two obstructions, and keeping our mind as pure as possible from delusion during our practice. So this is really your top-ranked Dharma practitioners can keep all this in mind while they're feeding the birds. But we should endeavor to lift our practice to these levels of bodhisattvas and holy beings, and aspire. If we can't do it at the moment, then step by step, end up with this extraordinary, pure, powerful practice of Dharma, whatever we're doing. So then on page 759, Geshe then looks at the joyous effort with all six perfections. So again, a lot to hold in our minds. So first of all is generosity with joyous effort. And we practice joyous effort and teach others and encourage others in the practice of joyous effort. So we need to have a little bit of joy within us to actually help others practice joyous effort. If we're continuously miserable and depressed, then it's hard to inspire joy in other people. The second is ethics with joyous effort. So no matter what our Dharma practice is, then trying to practice purely without damaging our vows and without harming others. So you might think, I'm making a good effort, I'll take my son fishing, but then you go and buy some worms and you're sticking live worms on the hooks. So you're killing and basically torturing worms so that then taints any merit or any benefit from trying to help your son. So it's a matter of trying to keep our practice pure and free of harm to other living beings. So patience with joyous effort. And Geshe says we need to be patient with the object of joyous effort. So if for example, you might be looking after someone with Alzheimer's, then we need huge amount of patience and to continue practice joyfully, to practice helping someone who is demented and maybe dual incontinent, and you can start feeling a bit trapped and not getting time to do your Dharma practice, not getting time to see friends and so on, getting quite stressed and depressed. So patience with joyous effort helps us with our practice. And patience with the obstacles that arise within Dharma practice. There's endless. We've got endless obstacles, endless negativity and habits, and things get in the way. Try sitting on a cushion for half an hour and focus on the breath, and you see the obstacles arising. So we need patience with when we're not getting the results we're quickly aspiring towards. And joyous effort with joyous effort, this is described as developing the habit of joyous effort. So we practice in the future, and the aspiration to practice joyous effort all the way to enlightenment. So not that I'm just going to make a big effort and for this year. It's I'm determined, think long term, all the way to my enlightenment, I am going to practice joyous effort. And concentration with joyous effort. Geshe describes this as having a calm and undistracted mind in our Dharma practice. So doing whatever we can to improve our concentration, and so we can focus on Dharma. And wisdom with joyous effort, to use our analytical wisdom, to use your intelligence to analyze the meditations, to pull the teachings apart, to check them up, not just go along with them, and then to analyze your own mind and honestly check up what's getting in the way of progress. You know, what do I need to do? What are the antidotes? And what am I veering away from, and so on. And also the wisdom of emptiness. So focusing on emptiness to support our practice. So that's a big ask. So Geshe says it's a big ask. The greatly capable practitioner of joyous effort can practice the 6 supreme qualities along with the 6 perfections in their practice of joyous effort. So that's someone who has really trained, habituated Dharma into their minds. They're really, Dharma's their life and their practice. Geshe said the medium one is we practice joyous effort with the 3 supreme qualities. So for most of us, this is still quite a big ask, to be mindful of bodhicitta. Where in our daily continuous practices, try and generate bodhicitta, try and have some awareness of emptiness, and remember to dedicate. So that's something we can realistically give it a go, and try to do that more. And the least capable practitioner is practices joyous effort with the aspiration for high rebirth. So you might feed the birds or meditate, and that's your aspiration. So there's not even an aspiration to get out of samsara. So Shantideva uses a lot of verses for joyous effort, lots of battlefield verses for courage. So, and one was, I think, the captured soldier, that our joyous effort, we should be continuously mindful of the Dharma, similar to a soldier who's been captured, a prisoner, and he's made to carry a vessel of oil. And if he spills one drop, then there's someone with a sword who's going to lop his head off. Then the sort of attention you'd pay to not spilling a drop. So that's the sort of degree of effort or attention we should be applying to our Dharma practice while we can. And then also Shantideva gives various verses, and Geshe used to quote these a fair bit, about the skillful soldier on the battlefield has to, as well as being able to attack their enemy, they have to learn to defend themselves. They have to learn when to retreat, not just rush headlong in. And so you need to, in our practice, we need to learn to protect our vows. We need to learn to monitor our mind and protect our well-being, and keep an eye on how things are going, and not just run headlong idealistically. I'm going to defeat all my delusions. I'm going to become a perfect being overnight. And Shantideva also says if you drop your sword on the field of battle, then you've got to really quickly pick it up. And it's the same, if you lose your internal weapon of mindfulness, then you need to retrieve it quickly. So for us not to drift off into a 3-day binge of, Krispy Kremes and thick shakes and mountains of chocolate and whatever, but try and retain some mindfulness of what we're doing. Or more topically these days, I think one casino in Australia, they're just installing FPOS machines at the tables. So quickly retrieve your mindfulness that you've just lost your car and you don't want to lose your house, and so on. So then on page 760, Geshe gives a summary of the practice of joyous effort. So this, in the summary, it suggests we should aspire for higher grounds, even if we're practicing the more preliminary stuff, then we should still hold in our mind quite a big vision and aspire for these bodhisattva grounds and these pure practices. Like we've seen people such as Geshe Acharya Thubten Loden with these pure practices and these sort of inspirational qualities. And so we can get a sense that this is something we shouldn't just accept a small vision for ourselves. We should have big vision for ourselves. Even while we're practicing, say, impermanence, we should aspire for these 6 perfections. So sort of dare to dream, not hold on to the view, I'm still a very lowly Dharma practitioner. I'm never going to understand emptiness this life, so I'm going to put it to one side. But to have a bigger vision than that right now I'm not getting emptiness, but I'm going to keep my mind open to it. Or right now, bodhicitta seems a bit of a leap, but I'm going to keep my mind open. I'm actually going to do this. And this is a doable thing, and the methods are here. So why shouldn't I, So in the summary, Geshe said we should meditate on the benefits of joyous effort. That's the cause of all realizations. We need to make effort to change. We need joy to make continuous effort. And the disadvantages of laziness, like looking back at your own life, how much procrastination have you done? How much have you put off practicing Dharma, like pure practice or committed practice? How much have you done that? How much have you, how much have I engaged in laziness of attraction to meaningless activity, just sonking in front of the TV or, whatever it is, gossip or internet, endless internet, phone. And how much thought, laziness of incapacity have I had, where I really haven't believed I can change or traverse the path. So seeing the disadvantages of all that has chewed up big chunks of our life. And then Geshe in the summary says we should wear the armor of joyous effort. And when we get up in the morning, we try to put on this armor, this determination, this dauntless energy, and we practice the 3 or 6 supreme qualities and the 6 perfections with our joyous effort. So I'll read a quote from Lord Tsongkhapa again, from this great exposition of the stages of the path. And he again cites Shantideva in engaging the Bodhisattva deeds, where Shantideva says, just like cotton under the power of a wind blows to and fro, so I will be driven by enthusiasm. In this way I will accomplish all. So Lord Tsongkhapa then comments, just as the wind drives a piece of cotton to and fro, I'm not sure if that means like prayer flags you see in Tibet. They're cotton prayer flags that are moved around in the wind. or whether it's a natural, like a natural sort of piece of cotton or a seed. But either way, I'll repeat again, he said, just as the wind drives a piece of cotton to and fro, a joyful energy, enthused for virtue, controls your body and mind. When you act, along with this energy, joyous perseverance is well established. Once you produce this, you will easily achieve all the collections. So that very much, to me, again, that very much sounded like when Mahatma Gandhi said at this stage, he said, my religious practice has become a living force within me. So no longer a dutiful struggle, but an actual joy, a purposeful, meaningful, extraordinarily meaningful and joyful thing, and sort of the heart of our life. So that's what we can aspire towards. That's that's what we need to do. So I'll probably finish here. The next week we'll be looking at the perfections of concentration and wisdom. But it's a good idea to study. I guess you used to say with Path to Enlightenment, it's good to meditate this week or study this week on that subject. So you sort of focus and get some more in-depth, because lots of stuff I've skipped in the book, and we can meditate on it as well. So we can, or you can read ahead and have a look at the perfection of concentration. Perfections of concentration and wisdom are quite briefly touched on, because they're in the subject that comes after that, the union of calm abiding and special insight, is a very substantial part of the Path to Enlightenment, and that covers our concentration and wisdom. So I think we'll just finish there and say the prayers. Ooh. We're on page. The final prayer of the graduated path, composed by the unequaled second Buddha, Jetsun Tsongkhapa. By the two collections vast as space, amassed with effort for a long time, may I become a chief of conquerors, a guide for all beings whose mind's eye is blinded by ignorance. Also in all lives, while not yet come to that, may Manjushri favour me with his compassion, finding the supreme path, complete with all stages of the teachings. May I please the conquerors by practicing well, by my precise understanding of the essential points of the path, with skillful means drawn along by strong compassion, and by dispelling the mental darkness of beings, may I uphold the conqueror's teaching for a long time. Where the supreme precious teaching has not spread, also where it has spread but become degenerate, with a mind deeply moved by great compassion, may I make clear this treasure of benefit and bliss. The stages of the path, excellently established by the marvelous deeds of the conquerors and their sons, give glory to the minds of those aspiring for liberation. May the conquerors' deeds be long preserved. May all humans and non-humans who remove the obstructions and establish conditions favorable to cultivating the excellent path never be parted for all of their lifetimes from the purest of paths which the Buddhas have praised. When someone makes effort to practice properly the 10 points of conduct of the Supreme Vehicle, may he always be assisted by the mighty protectors, and may oceans of good fortune spread out, reaching all. In the special dedication on page 34.
Tita dipi nanta devayan, tuzan dishi jishi tanchi,
Whatever white virtues we have thus created, we dedicate as causes, enabling us to uphold the holy Dharma of Scripture and realization, and to fulfill without exception the prayers and deeds of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the three times. By the power of this merit in all our lives, may we never be parted from the four wheels of the Mahayana, and may we complete the journey on the paths of renunciation, bodhicitta, pure view, and the two stages. By this virtue, may all beings complete the collections of wisdom and merit, and attain the two holy bodies arisen from wisdom and merit. May the precious superior mind of enlightenment be generated in those who have not yet generated it, and not decrease in those who have developed it, but increase continuously. So thanks everyone for listening in. We'll do the same next week. I think I might just unplug the microphone and then just show the temple, because for those of you who haven't seen the temple for a while, I'll just swing the laptop around so you can see the temple of our beautiful holy temple. Sorry? Don't disconnect the laptop. Okay. So I'll try and swivel that around, but it's a bit tricky. There's a few